So spammers, somehow my computer keeps ending my recordings. If we crash the top, then about that mention it's the insane. Just say nothing else.
We're talking still overseas and travel.
When on the way here, you said you were seeking unconditional acceptance. When clearly Mr. Putin is adding a whole series of conditions, and also the president says there should be
unconditional conditions
from what he said publicly.
Well, I go back to the point I made. Let's let this thing play through, okay? And then let's figure out what. Let me at least talk to. Let's the team get together on the safe side of this and talk to Ambassador Witkoff and go through some of this. Again, we're not going to be involved in this process where I'm being asked to stake a position of U.S. policy on the basis of what someone said at a press conference yesterday. So we're going to work through this thing in a normal, sane fashion. We'll figure out where we are based on what I know at this moment with my conversation with Ambassador Witkoff. He's not here yet. I feel like there's reason for cautious optimism. I think the president shared that today in his True Social post. But there's a lot of work. No, I have never told anybody that this is going to be easy, fast, simple, slam dunk. It'll be hard, but it's important work. We are in a better place today, I hope, I believe, we have reason to believe, than we were a week ago. But we still have a long ways to go. They could come together pretty quickly if everyone aligns, but I don't know how aligned we are yet. That's what we're about to find out. So cautious optimism is about the best phraseology I can use at this moment. Based on what we know, we're going to keep working on it.
The statement but it's just the fundamental element of the president's proposal is it should be an immediate ceasefire.
Sure. And that's the proposal.
How long do you think it will
Well, in terms of long for what?
How many? Because they're taking time to time. I don't think it is that.
Well, this war's been going on for 3 years. So I think the question, and with no end in sight at this point, without this intervention by President Trump. So I think the question is, the fundamental question really is not how long. I think the question is, are we actually moving towards a ceasefire or is it a delay tactic? I'm not going to answer that because I can't characterize that to you right now. I think we'll know sooner rather than later, and a lot of that will be based on the conversation Ambassador Witkoff had yesterday and other factors that are involved. But we're not there yet, but we will get there. We want it to be, the president wanted it to be yesterday and the day before. But we're certainly at least talking about peace for the first time in 3 years. Now we'll have to figure out how close we truly are, and that's going to take some time. And Witkoff's not here yet, so you hear me say so.
The joint statement says that there's a need for robust and credible security agency plan. How would you define that based on your conversations here with G7? What a robust and credible security agency?
Well, that's to be determined by the negotiations. So here's what I want to encourage everybody to do. Bifurcate two things, okay? The ceasefire and the conditions for everybody to stop shooting at each other. What will it take to get everybody to stop shooting at each other? And then moving to a negotiating table on settling the war with finality. Two separate processes. Process number one is, what do we need from both sides in order to stop the shooting and the fighting? So that we can get to the negotiating table. That's the second phase. As part of that second phase, there will obviously, every country in the world has a right to security, has a right to defend itself, has a right to protect its territory. That will have to be part of that conversation. And it will have to be something that involves not simply the views of the United States, but other countries that are involved. And I've repeated this over and over again. The European Union has imposed significant sanctions on the Russian Federation and on individuals inside of Russia. So they will have to be consulted and they'll have to be engaged in this process and so forth. So let's not predetermine to start and putting everything ahead of itself here. The process of what long-term security means for Ukraine, that will be something that Ukraine will obviously have to agree with, and that will have to be worked through as part of that second phase. But we can't get to the second phase till we get through the first phase. We think it's very difficult to negotiate lasting peace and security in the midst of all-out war. And so we have to try to lower that so that it makes it possible to move to phase two of this.
Secretary, in the statement that you issued a little while ago, also notes that the G7 discussed the ways to impose costs on Russia should that become necessary to keep caps on oil prices, additional support for Ukraine using seized sovereign Russian assets. Was there, but it said it discussed it, you didn't agree on it. Is there any agreement within the G7 on these particular measures, and just what they should be in what order and what might trigger them? And why did you discuss them if you're so far?
Well, first of all, they were raised because the Europeans have their own set of sanctions and new ones they would like to impose. And certainly the United States is not a member of the EU. We don't have a vote at the EU. And so whatever they determine and decide to do, we can't control it. They ask us for our input, we'll give it to them, but that's not what's happening right now. So yes, it was discussed. As far as U.S. sanctions are concerned, the president's made clear that the president on 2 occasions during the past week has reminded everybody that the U.S. has these options available to it, but he doesn't want to do that right now because he's in the hopes of attracting people, both sides, to a process where we can negotiate peace. And I'll leave it at that. There really is nothing to add to that at this point. Mr. Secretary, go ahead. Hold on one second. Yes.
What led you to subscribe to this?
But that's not a change in public policy. The United States has never said that Russia, I've never heard President Trump say that Russia has a right to take all of Ukraine and do whatever they want there. So that's not inconsistent with that statement. That is separate from the issue we face today. And that is that as it stands today, there is a war going on that has no military solution to it. Neither Russia nor Ukraine can achieve its maximalist military aims. The only way to end this war is through a process of negotiations. Negotiations, be it in business, in commerce, or in geopolitics, involve both sides giving something, both sides making concessions. That's just obvious. I'm not saying, I don't think that should be sort of a news-making statement. That's the reality of any conversations that exist in order to end wars, is that there has to be some level of concession. What those concessions are remains to be seen. That'll have to be part of the negotiation. But it's not going to be helpful to enter into those negotiations making blanket statements that may give an excuse for one side or the other not to participate in it. So we'll have to get to that stage where these things are discussed, and ultimately both sides, whatever happens, both sides will have to agree to it. And that's true of any negotiation when you're trying to end a war.
Personalities, Ukraine or anything else for that matter, your boss has, shall we say, a rather strong personality. And I'm wondering, in light of that and his repeated comments to that candidate, it should be the 51st state, the whole tariff situation, which intensified as we were on our way here after your big announcement in Jeddah. Did that complicate your discussions at all?
Obviously, with the foreign minister of Canada has, but it was not a topic, it was not on our agenda. I told you that would not be discussed. Tariffs were. So let me explain on the tariffs. This is important to understand. This keeps being characterized as a hostile move against our allies. These are global tariffs on steel, on aluminum, on autos, on semiconductors, and actually the president stated this. And then in April, the intention to put tariffs, assuming that the study comes back and so forth. But what they've discussed is a global reciprocal tariff. Understand what that means. That means basically whatever some country charges us, that's what we're going to charge them. The global tariff is very clear, which he believes, and I agree, is unfair to the United States. This is not meant as a hostile move against Japan or Germany or anybody else. This is about balancing and fairness in trade. So he wants to reset the baseline, and once that baseline is reset, then you can enter into bilateral negotiations with individual countries about changes that can be made to our trade, our bilateral trade, so that it's fair for both sides. That's his goal. In his first administration, the president did tariffs as well. What he was disturbed by, in hindsight, is the fact that they included a bunch of exemptions that basically made them meaningless. And so what he wants to get back to is basically fairness in trade. It's as simple as that. When we want to charge other countries, that they charge us. And then ultimately, once the baseline is reset, and then in addition to that, there are industries that are critical to the United States and to our domestic security and our future. And he's identified them: steel, aluminum, semiconductors, automobiles. These are things that we believe are in our interest to have domestic capacity. And we have to protect these industries from what we feel is subsidization and unfair competition from abroad. This is not meant to be hostile towards anybody. It is meant to be friendly and supportive of our foreign policy, of our national interest as a country. Once the baseline of trade is reset in a way that's fair and equitable, then we can engage in the process of bilateral negotiations with individual countries, including our allies, to set up a more sustainable and fair long-term trade arrangement between our respective countries.
Mr. Secretary, the President, Do you understand why the Canadians are taking such umbrage at these comments from President? Is that probably?
The Canadian government has made their position, how they feel about it, clear. The president has made his argument as to why he thinks Canada would be better off joining the United States, come back for economic purposes. There's a disagreement between the president's position and the position of the Canadian government. I don't think that's a mystery coming in, and it wasn't the topic of the conversation, because that's not what the summit was about.
Mr. Secretary, you said that the tariff policy was not hostile. However, President Trump yesterday in his social media post said that the EU previously has been hostile and abusive towards the United States. How do you square that? And secondly, is he serious when he's talking about the 51st state in Canada?
Well, I've already answered the question about Canada, and yeah. We're not discussing that here today because that's not what the purpose of this meeting is about. As far as the question that you're asking me about hostility, yes, you look at the EU. Okay, the EU has a GDP basically comparable to that of the United States. The composition of their economy is similar to ours. These are not developing countries, these are developed countries. And yet they have a significant trade surplus with the United States, even though our economies are pretty much the same. They're not low-wage countries. That's a problem. All the president is saying is we need to equalize treatment. Whatever they do to us, we need to do to them. And it did.
All right, so you were listening to Marco Rubio there, but I do want to take you out to Governor Kevin Stitt there in Oklahoma as he's talking about 130 wildfires burning in the state.
Thanks everybody for coming out today, and we've been around the state. We started over in Stillwater, and we're in Manford right now, and I've got the leadership of the state with me that's kind of been touring the damage. But first off, I want to thank the media for the evacuation notices. Our alert system worked better than it ever has to let people know and have plenty of warnings on their phones. And so the thing that struck me is, unlike tornadoes, everybody got evacuated, and so we don't have any reports of any fatalities from homes. But the damage is unbelievable. I think there was one fatality from an accident of a vehicle driving into smoke of some kind. But what we know right now is there's about 170,000 acres that were burned. And forestry's up flying right now to kind of get the exact number. We have, last night I had a report of about 293 homes / structures that were destroyed. And Stillwater is just amazing, kind of walking through those neighborhoods and talking to families, and it's just amazing. You'll have 4 houses in a row burn, and they'll skip 2, and then another 4, and then back behind them, and then here in Manford got hit pretty hard as well. So right now, currently, there's 14,000 power outages, but really the evacuations were just great. I talked to all these families, and they were able to get out. And the thing that breaks your heart is some of the folks that were renters, and they lost everything, and they didn't have any kind of renter insurance. So we have the Red Cross, and we have the different facilities and different nonprofits that are set out to help them with. Really, they just have the clothes on their back right now. And so Oklahoma Standard will step up, and just neighbors are going to help neighbors like we always do. We've got, as far as the ongoing risk of fire throughout the state, I met with the meteorologist last night, and it was just a perfect storm. It was the humidity levels went down to kind of record lows, below 10%, and then with the winds where they were, it just dried everything out. And so we should have a couple good days in a row here to get all the fires out, because there's a little bit of risk coming back in maybe Monday or Tuesday. So we've got some crews coming in from Louisiana, Arkansas to really help us stamp out the fires over the weekend. But we'll have some other updates from our emergency management folks, and we'll help these guys rebuild. And on a personal level, I lost. Where I have a little farm north of Luther, I lost my home at my farmhouse. So really, this kind of stuff hits close to home. When those fires come through, there's just not a lot that you can do. So with that, I'll just open it up to questions we got the mayor, we got the fire chief, I think, we got Secretary of Ag, we got the Speaker of the House, we got the Lieutenant Governor with us, and then when I was in Stillwater, we had our local our senators there as well. Yes, and they did de-energize some lines, and so we're still trying to track down how do these fires start. We think there were some controlled burns that was happening a few days before, and some things got out of control. We think some of the power lines contributed to this. Also, some controlled burns underneath right-of-ways, underneath those lines. We need to look at that as a state as well. Other states will do that, when you have conservation and you have controlled burns, that really helps with how to control fires like this. So that's something that I personally want to look at. PSO, I think in OG&E, we have about 14,000 people without electricity right now, so they're working like crazy to get that up. So I'll let Annie kind of talk to you about the state of emergency, but basically what that means is that's a federal requirement that we have to do to tap into some of the federal resources. I was also on the phone with Secretary Kristi Noem earlier today. She was actually in the air on Coast Guard One. I said, "Are you on Air Force One?" She's like, "No, I'm on Coast Guard One."
Don't say that.
But she's a good friend, and she just was reaching out to make sure that she knew that she's here to support Oklahoma, so whatever we need. And so part of that declaration will help Annie start gathering the numbers, and she'll set up websites where people can report the damage, and she can get that up for federal assistance.
Don't say that.
Great question. And there's not when you're in have a perfect storm like this with the humidity, winds, that's my question. Just like every Oklahoman, how do these start? What's happening? And we knew there were a few controlled burns from ranchers the day or two before. That it's just hard to prevent that. And then we had a case of a couple guys out welding and doing work on their farms, and I think we'll do some post-mortem look at what we can do, and part of that would be let's really do some controlled burns earlier, maybe in the season, and get rid of some of the underbrush or when the timing's right, to make sure we don't have the transmission lines starting things up, and then we can also think about de-energizing at certain levels of wind speeds. I think so. We've got the speaker here, but I can assure you that OG&E and our partners, they want to provide power to our homes, and they're trying to keep people safe. So they're looking at their grid as well, and that's also part of the need to continue to upgrade and continue to have the right infrastructure in the state. So Oklahomans will continue to do that as well. There's no real reason except we weren't really requested. So the local sheriffs, municipalities, fire departments, also the alerts came right to the phones. And so I was really quizzing our team last night at the Emergency Command Center, making sure, but within 10 minutes, we do that quicker than any other state. When the locals say, hey, we're seeing smoke, and when our meteorologists are predicting things, we're sending that directly out to people's phones. But also, just to brag on Channel 6, one of the families I stopped and talked to, I said, did you get a notice on your phone, or the police? And she said Channel 6 said we were watching that. So really the importance of what you guys do, letting people know when to evacuate is really, really helpful. Okay, let me let Annie kind of give you an update from emergency management and what she does when she talks to the feds, and then we'll let some of the other local folks answer some questions. Annie?
Good morning, everyone. We worked diligently beginning actually last Friday with the Oklahoma Border Service to start preparing for this event. We, as of this morning, have reports of over 200 homes lost. And I will tell you, related to the state's readiness, every firefighter in this state, every resource that was had was out there. Task forces stayed very close to home last night because the risk was absolutely statewide. Once the risk did subside in other areas, we were able to get some task forces out and up. And The damages that are out there are still ongoing. We still have teams out there doing search and rescue. We still have fires smoldering across the state. And we did submit and get approved 8 fire management assistance grants last night from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. What that allows for is any of these response costs that the state governments, local governments, fire departments incurred last night, and just putting everything together to try to put these fires out will be reimbursable. We also are getting nearer to a threshold where we find we might be closer to being able to bring FEMA in for some assistance. It takes about 400 destroyed or major impacted structures statewide that are uninsured for FEMA to come in and provide assistance. And I want to remind everybody that that assistance level that they do provide is pretty limited. It's about $5,000 on average in Oklahoma. So what we really want to encourage everyone to do, if you have insurance and you have questions about your insurance, we hope to connect you with our State Insurance Commission office. And we want to prevent fraud in these cases, as always in disasters. We will have FEMA on the ground beginning probably Monday or Tuesday. We're going to get 3 teams to the state to go out and assess those damages, along with the Small Business Administration. If FEMA is not approved, if we don't have enough FEMA to make the request, the Small Business Administration takes 25 major inventory, which is a lot more.
Who said that? They said it.
We can almost assure you that we are at that level. And they can provide low interest loans to those that have lost everything. And it is absolutely a better financial opportunity to have long-term recovery. And in the meantime, we've been working with the governor's office of faith-based initiatives, which has been wonderful to try to get some resources in here from nonprofit entities. And we plan to set something up this week here, at least in Manford, and beginning to look in other areas throughout the week where those that have been impacted can go and find whatever resources they need. We're here to support. We try to communicate as best as we can, and we're going to be here as long as the community needs us to be here. So thank you.
Anybody else got any other questions? Yeah, Mayor, please.
Good afternoon. It's been a rough night, I can assure you of that. I want to thank the governor for being here. I want to thank the vice governor for being here, and also our representative speaker, Kyle Hilbert. So many of us to thank. We got a lot of help last night. We got help from Sand Springs, Bixby, had a task force team come in from Rogers County. It got here kind of late, but they really helped us out a lot. Had a lot of small community firefighters here also. But as they were saying, there were so many fires going on everywhere. What we usually rely upon as municipal aid wasn't available last night. So it's kind of to each his own. And I know there are a lot of people around the state suffering right now. But appreciate you being here, Governor. Appreciate the support that we're getting. We're setting up some food areas at the Phelps IGA store. There have been several vendors that have donated food and their time, and we appreciate that. Just want to say quickly that Manford's a strong town. It's a tight-knit community, and this town will survive this. The community will come together as we always do, and we'll get through this. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
If you want to get involved, I would encourage you to reach out to our office directly. You can visit our website at www.openapa. And also here locally, they do have a local emergency manager, and that goes statewide. If you're eager to help, please contact your local emergency manager, and they can connect you in. Please do not self-deploy to these areas. They are still, as we mentioned, smaller and a little bit dangerous. All patient calls for help as they
Please believe me when I say, come on.
You know, we've got emergency declaration in place, and then as the meteorologist and our team lets us know what we need to say to Burbank, yeah, we'll be the quickly do that. And really, it's just, you know, Oklahomans have to be really, really careful when they burn in ranch land.
You gotta contact your locals. But also, every county commissioner can look at that and they can do that if they need to. County by county as well.
That's like shit up.
All right, that was Governor Kevin Stitt there of Oklahoma, alongside other officials, local and state, who were there to provide a briefing on the
His
wildfires
friends
that we've
said
seen
I
in that
will
area.
never That's like that shit.
24 counties, there were more than 130 wildfires reported. As you heard, some progress being made, but a lot
That
more
was
still
her
going on
or
in that
him.
location. So if there
That's just
are
it.
any additional press
That's
conferences, and there
That's
likely
not-
will be,
My commission,
Right
if
here
you
at
don't
TNT.
understand it by now, they don't know who they is. Yes, they
if you
do.
are just joining
We
us
got like we
online
innocent,
now, it's
we
4:08
crazy. So then
on
they said
East
that
Coast
I'm
and 9
My
a.m.
commission,
West Coast.
we done. So
And
then they said that way. I'm about
here
commission,
for the next
we
several
crazy.
hours,
That's that
showing
shit.
you all of your top stories and live
That was
events
the
across the
that's
country
no.
and the world.
You
We're gonna head to
understand
our
the
first 2-minute
explanation.
commercial
Yeah,
break
fuck
of the hour, but
I'm about like a medicine. Do you think we done? I'm about like a medicine. If we crazy. So I said that I'm gonna listen. I'm about a medicine. If I went crazy. So I said that's I said that's the fuck up. Yeah, we're crazy. Fuck you, you ain't crazy. We about like we innocent. Do we sound that? I don't want people hearing this shit. That was our explanation. Yes, we know.
Experience the ultimate staycation.
Well, I'm just saying because it's things that you don't know how motherfucking intelligent she is. Nah, I know. She telling the truth. About like a medicine. If don't fuck me. Get your retarded ass off of there. Then you hear the way. No, don't fuck me. That's that shit. I'm about like a medicine. He said she is trying to make fun of me. I'm about like a minute. That's like, fuck you, retarded motherfuckers. If we crazy. Marquita, I'm about to lock you up and try to be funny like you said. Yes, you was. I'm about like a minute. If we crazy. So I said, then I'm going to say shit else off her fucking mouth. That was
to keep you cool and comfortable throughout the night.
I'm busy. That's not God. Don't lock me in. No, that's how she that's out there. That's why I'm getting on my goddamn marriage. I can't believe what I'm hearing. If we crazy. I'm about like a medicine. If we incest, I said that on her mouth. I'm about like a medicine. Let's say she that. Set the fuck up. What is your intelligent ass like that? If you hear say she that. I'm about like a medicine. If we crazy, if we say who the fuck is you trying to say is the smartest one? Shit, right. Don't say it. Nah, fuck you. I'm not the smartest. I'm about medicine. The person who was talking on her lip ain't us. Yeah. We about lock me innocent. This one got me fucked up. No, that's ain't nothing that's happening. We about lock me innocent. If we done, people know this. He said, why do she keep talking like that? I don't know. Just tell me it's case only. No, that's ain't nothing else. We ain't crazy. No, I'm about lock him innocent. She said, tell him that we are the peace. Is that? I don't know what the fuck it is. That's like shit that's happening. Nah, tell him it is peace in the region. That's it. That's it. What the fuck does that mean? You don't know what that means. Yes, he does not. I'm about medicine. That's what shit that's happening. I know what that means. That's ain't a she's running shit. I'm about like a medicine. I wasn't. Yes, she is. Got a medicine. Is you lying to me?
I'm here to bring you all of your top
Yes,
stories,
it is.
live events,
Well, that's
and
that shit that's happening.
news
Fuck
across
you.
the country.
I don't want nobody knowing this shit.
I do want to
Let
take you
people
on to some
hearing
of the
this
video
shit. About like
that
a
we have coming in
medicine.
here from Missouri. As we know that
Yeah, I'm about like a medicine. If we innocent. That's ain't nothing.
after a widespread and dangerous
No,
severe weather
bitch.
outbreak. Again, we have a lot of different video that is coming into our newsroom showing some of the aftermath, but also the actual tornadoes that were spotted there. In Missouri, at least 5 tornadoes reported, including one in the St. Louis area, leaving behind significant damage. The Missouri State Highway Patrol saying that 6 of those deaths occurred in Wayne County, 2 others reported in Ozark County, while the other 2 were in Butler and Jefferson counties. In Arkansas, 3 fatalities confirmed in Independence County, and 29 people were reportedly injured in 8 counties in connection to a storm system that moved through the state overnight. That's according to the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management. As daylight did arrive, state officials now discovering further damage throughout the region that had over 150 tornado warnings since Friday morning. It's not over just yet, as I do want to pop up this statement here coming in from the National Weather Service, as more than 150 million people are at heightened risk of severe weather, but today expected to potentially be the most dangerous day. The National Weather Service issuing this statement saying, quote, numerous significant tornadoes, some of which could be long track and potentially violent, are expected this afternoon and evening. So no question, we are keeping an eye on all of that, as we always do here on Live Now from Fox. But other states also impacted. Take a look at just some of this video coming in out of the Texas Panhandle. You can see it there on your screen. As we do know that the Texas Department of Public Safety says 3 people died in car crashes as a result of this dust storm you see on your screen. An estimated 38 cars were involved in one of the pileups, and that looks to be a semi-tractor trailer that is on its side. This video coming in just outside of Amarillo, Texas. We know the dust storms did impact others there as well. We also have this video that we showed you a bit earlier coming in out of Oklahoma. We just showed you that news conference with Oklahoma's governor here a short time ago. But what we've learned is that evacuations were ordered in some of the communities as more than 130 fires were reported across 44 counties in the state. Oklahoma State Patrol saying that winds were so strong they toppled several semi-tractor trailers, not only seeing them in this video here, but also fires broke out that were caused by those fires at locations that do include buildings, homes, and things of that nature. Extensive damage that is still being surveyed at this time. This video from Storyful showing the aftermath and a lot of the heavy smoke in the distance. Important to remember, this does take place across 44 different counties. We also have this video coming in from Oklahoma. It's not from Storyful, but from some of the Fox affiliates that are in that location, showing several of the areas impacted. Looks like a sign there actually falling over as a result of the high winds. Tape possibly at this point still holding it up. You are going to see those semi-tractor trailers that are on their side. We are working to figure out more about some of the information. It actually looks like our team out there might be doing another interview with some of the folks in Oklahoma. So let's pop up the audio.
Lack of help, the lack of being able to send resources to help somebody else. Everybody was tied up within their own jurisdictions. And so we did what we could to deploy resources. We were about as prepared as we could have been in light of the event. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to be bad. We had resources ordered from out of state that we had pre-positioned in various locations. Everything we had was tied up.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so that appeared to be one of the sheriffs there in that location. As reporters are speaking with different officials, we played for you, though, the comments made by Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt just about 30 minutes ago. If you missed those, I'm sure we'll play them for you a little bit later, but you can also watch them on our YouTube page. Just head over to YouTube and search Live Now Fox. While you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you'll get updates right to your phone and other devices when we do post news-related videos. We are going to head to a quick break right now, but on the other side, it looks like some parades for St. Patrick's Day might be kicking off. We'll bring you out to some of those if they are underway. My name is Josh Breslow, and you're watching Live Now from Fox.
Look at us, all stressed before we even get dressed. Let's take a little time off and go off on brunch. Oh yeah, can't hurt. Let's roll with sausage, ricotta, and peaches, and quiches, and all kinds of great. Yeah. Let's trigger line dances, not each other. You just gotta keep the Bloodies merry, the Johnsonville funny, and keep it juicy.
Your new home deserves Xfinity.
And this. I like the snowflakes. Also do taxidermy.
Wow. Stay connected during your move with the best in-home Wi-Fi. Easily transfer your services in the Xfinity app. Bring on the good stuff.
Nature knows best. That's why New Chapter Vitamins follows our example with key vitamins, minerals, herbs, and whole food ingredients. Crafted to work with your body. Bringing the power of nature into your new chapter.
Welcome to The Perfect Catch.
Let's meet your one true flavor.
We have over 20 tuna flavors.
Why commit to just one? Sorry, Charlie.
Gotta swipe left.
I got other ideas too.
Experience the ultimate staycation destination. Take your hot streak to new heights and savor every winning moment. Resort to greatness at Terre Haute Casino Resort.
Following us.
This is policy.
Idiot. The first ever Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, and we always prioritize the live events here. Looks like the parade is underway for St. Patrick's Day in Atlanta. Let's pop up the audio here and listen in. right, so we did want to take you out there to that event that is underway over in Atlanta. We're going to have extensive coverage here of St. Patrick's Day parades and different events. And I want to remind you that we do have this special programming note because Monday, Jeanne Francine will be here starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time with live coverage from Dublin, Ireland. You have to head to a quick 2-minute commercial break, but so much more live coverage to get to in just a few. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed? I need it a little cool.
And I needed a lot of cool.
We're both cool like that. Sleep Number does that. Sleep up to 15 degrees cooler on each side. 9 out of 10 couples sleep better on a Sleep Number smart bed. Smart beds start at $9.99 exclusively at Sleep Number.
The world is changing.
Quiet, sweeping us along against our control. In every future where I live, Ryan dies. And the only way he lives is if I don't.
Maggie wants more without spending more. So she got Blink Outdoor 4 cameras with up to 2 years of powerful battery life to get through all of life's seasons. With more convenience.
Thank you so much.
And more peace of mind. Blink and get more.
Sale round qualifying is back, and it's on Prime. It is getting bigger. Find out who's hot and who's not. Spring practice and qualifying sessions. Saturdays now through June 22nd. Live on Prime.
Expecting a baby is exciting. There's so much to look forward to and so much to learn about parenting. Plus, all of that cute baby gear. That's why they created an Amazon baby registry, because they trust Amazon to deliver everything they need to prepare for the big arrival. Amazon makes it convenient for friends and family to share their joy as they celebrate all of the big moments ahead. Start your registry now on Amazon.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 12:30 on the East Coast and 9:30 on the West Coast. I do want to bring you to a story that we've been following very, very closely here on Live Now from Fox over the past several days, as really we know right now that the investigation does continue after a University of Pittsburgh student seemingly vanished while in the Dominican Republic. I do want to bring in Nate Foy with Fox News, joining us live now with the latest information. Good afternoon, Nate. Obviously, a lot of information coming in, but still so many questions.
So many questions, Josh, and I want to show you some of the search efforts real quick. If we can catch this helicopter before it disappears into the tree line right there. You see that the search efforts continue as we're now in the second week of this investigation. And Josh, we're learning more about the person that Sudiksha Kanaki was last seen with. He's now identified as Joshua Reeby of Iowa. He's been questioned multiple times this week by both American and Dominican investigators. And thanks to our colleague, Brian Yedis at Fox News, we were able to obtain a transcript of his interview with Dominican investigators, a nearly 4-hour interview on Wednesday of this week. So behind me, you see the Rio Republica Resort. That's where Kanaki was last seen. And according to the transcript of his interview with Dominican authorities, Reeby says they met at the resort that night. They started drinking at the hotel bar. They went into the ocean. They started kissing each other. And then a big wave hit them, took them out to sea. He then tried rescuing her, bringing her back to the shoreline. Once they got there, they were in knee-deep water. And he asked her if she was okay. He didn't hear her response because of all the seawater that he had swallowed during that rescue. Then he passed out on the beach and didn't leave for a few hours, and then told authorities that he didn't realize that she was missing until the following morning. Now, his family has put out a statement saying that he's been irregularly detained and that his lawyer wasn't present for all of the questioning. We do know that his lawyer was there for a questioning from Loudoun County detectives. Loudoun County is where Kanaki is from in Virginia. They had boots on the ground here in the Dominican Republic, but those Loudoun County detectives have since gone back to the United States. And I want to ask my photographer to show the red flags here outside the Rio Republica Resort. Those indicate dangerous ocean conditions, and then we can also pan off to the ocean here. You see a lot of people are enjoying themselves. There are waves, and I mentioned the red flags, but we're seeing children in the ocean today as well. We're told that those red flags didn't go up until after Kanaki disappeared. So Dominican authorities promised that they're evaluating all possibilities, including the idea that possibly her disappearance wasn't an accident. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and Nate, I just want to ask you, because we've seen a few brief statements that have been put out by authorities there in the Dominican Republic. We know that there were some American agencies that were out there as well. Do we know if there is going to be a full-fledged news conference, anything like that? Have we heard of any official news conference that could be coming up with maybe some more details?
We're not getting a lot of cooperation from authorities. The Dominican Attorney General's office said that they were not going to hold a news conference until they had a significant development in the investigation. Now, we have learned about that interview since they told us that, so that could or could not count as a significant development. It is important to point out at this point, Reeby is only described as a witness. He's not a suspect. He's not a person of interest. And this is still just a missing persons investigation rather than a criminal investigation. But if there is a major change, we're told there will be a news conference. And if that happens, we will certainly be there to cover it.
Of course, Nate Foy there with Fox News. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us and providing all the details. We appreciate it.
You got it.
And we're going to head to our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour here at 12:35 on the East Coast and 9:35 on the West Coast. A lot more news to get to here in just a matter of moments. We'll be right back.